Okay, it's over here. But why is it over here and not over there? Hold on, just give me a second. What am I looking for? I'm looking for Sterling Audio. Sorry, y'all. I'll try it again in just a second. You know the Transgender Show, and it would never be the Transverse without a take two. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, then go to this scene. Be right back. And put that in there. And we should now have audio. Awesome. Well, that was a good dry run. So this is going to be quite a bit different. We're not going to be switching scenes. We've got on these mic stands, actually, we're not going to be touching them because we have our phones mounted taking video of the close-ups so that when I edit the episode later, we can do the fun switching. But for now, y'all watching live are just going to be seeing the two shot, which hopefully is good. We've got Katie's pile of Sonic plushies here, so we should be all good. Yeah, so it's just for the edit. You know, this is all the fun behind the scenes stuff that I usually try and keep away from you, but this is just part of it for today. Welcome to the Transgender Show. I'm your host, Emily. Tonight, I am very excited to welcome my very good friend, Katherine Alexandra Adventure McCardle. Katie is a seasoned aviation professional and a retired senior chief from the U.S. Navy with over 2 decades of experience as an air traffic controller. She just completed her MBA and is now exploring her own neurodivergence and enjoys immersing herself in movies, video games, and board games. Katie is a proud parent of 3 daughters who live with their mother in Virginia, as well as the puppy mama of a Pembroke Welsh Corgi named Tyrannosaurus Rex. Everyone, welcome to the show, my best friend, Katie. Hi. It is so great to finally have you on and to finally get a chance to do this. I've been here living with you for 2 months. I leave literally tomorrow. And so, you know, why not do the episode now?
Oh, it's been such a great 2 months too.
And we will get into a recap of all of the fun and amazing things that we've been doing, all of the adventures, the misadventures, and the absolute honest catastrophes that have happened while I've been here. It has not all been sunshine and rainbows, but we've made it through. I survived. I am excited to go home. We'll say. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about you, since it should all be about you tonight. Everybody, so we do have, okay, so here's a little bit of the behind the scenes. We have my camera set up there, obviously, but we have my computer there with our monitors. We've got YouTube chat, everybody. Hi, welcome in from YouTube. We've also got the Twitch chat, and we've got some really wonderful friends there. Thank you for joining us. I can read it from here. I'm getting old and my eyes aren't great, but I can read it from here. I may not get to your comments or your questions during this portion of the show. Just feel confident to keep going ahead and putting in those comments and absolutely ask your questions. If I don't get to them in real time when you ask it during this segment, once we have taken our break, we'll come back and I will get to all of your comments and all of your questions. We are always able to get to all of that, so everything is good. So yeah, just please interact with us, send in whatever, and if we don't get to it this segment, know that we will be interacting directly with you in the second segment. This part is what we edit and put together for the show, so we keep it tighter. We focus just on the guest and their questions, their answers, and so the later stuff is where we'll be chatting with you all. So just be a little patient is all. Gifting a tier 1 sub to the Transversus community. Who got it? Paging Quintessence is now a subscriber, so welcome to that. And joining us on YouTube is Amanda Bonanza, who you might know from this channel. So watch her on the weekends on Saturdays and Sundays. All right, on with the show, as they say. So I love your name story. It's a unique one that I haven't heard yet. So how did you choose a name that suited you?
So originally I was going to just feminize my first name, and that lasted maybe a month. Like, no, if I'm gonna do that, I don't half-ass it. And no, I needed to pick an entirely new one, and it wasn't that difficult for me. I stole it from an ex-girlfriend. But she probably still doesn't even know that. We're still friends on Instagram. But I was looking at her name on her driver's license, and she went by Katie, and I saw her name Catherine. Like, oh, that's a really pretty name. And I told her so. It's like, that's really sophisticated. I like that name. And when it was time for me to pick a name, like, it was a no-brainer for me.
Hmm.
It's just a really sophisticated, pretty name, and I really like it.
And I love that you love every single nickname variant from that, except for Kathy.
Don't call me Kathy. Ack.
Yeah, I chose Emily, and it's really difficult to shorten Emily. There's not a lot of ways, but yeah, my previous name had several iterations, and I was the same way. Where one, and in fact, even the most common shortening of it, the most common nickname from my name was the one that I hated the most. You have a secondary story though that I want to bring up. I want to talk about your middle names. We did spoil it in the intro there, and I did say your entire full name out.
My entire full name. So all you need now is my social security number, and you can steal my identity. Don't. Yeah. So for my first middle, I have two middle names now. For my first middle name, that was pretty easy. I did feminize it, and it's my first middle name. And then I've been wanting to do this for so long. And legally change my middle name to Adventure, so I can say Adventure is my middle name and have it be truth. And I actually worked with somebody who went by the name. He used Danger as his middle name, but he always put quotes around it, like Danger is my middle name. And somebody called me out of, like, you didn't make Adventure your middle name because of that. Like, no, I've had this idea long before I even met them. But the gauntlet is thrown. I legally changed my middle name to Adventure. I do not have to put quotes around it. That is truth, and fact. Yeah.
So I like to start this next part with more recent and then working backwards. So when did you realize that you were transgender? When did that term apply to you, and you fully grasped all of the meaning of, well, you can grasp at the beginning all of the meaning of that, but when did you realize that was the term that described you?
So I was getting ready to retire from the Navy. I was on what's called terminal leave, where you're just on leave getting ready to transition from the military to civilian life. And I didn't have a lot to do at the time. It was just hurry up and wait, getting ready to get everything moving from military to civilian life. And I remember being on Reddit. Reddit's changed my life in so many ways, not just this one. But I remember being on Reddit and just kind of surfing all, and every now and then Egg IRL would come up, and they'd have these memes on there, like, how would it be cool if I were a girl, still cis though? And I'd be looking through these posts and reading everybody's experiences being transgender, and I'm like, wow, these are really relatable, huh? And people talking about the effects of HRT on their body. I'm like, oh, that does sound nice though. Oh. And it took me about a week to wrestle with that idea. And yeah. So that's when it clicked,
Mm-hmm.
and that was about a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. So you went pretty quickly from like egg starting to crack to egg is
Oh,
shattered.
I went very quick. I came out to my spouse, and in less than 2 months, I was on HRT, and I had a roadmap of how wanted to do my transition.
Mhm. What were some of the clues? You know, the hindsight being trans is 2020. Once we're able to accept the fact that we are trans, we look back and we see breadcrumbs, we see the signs, we are like, oh, that's what that was. That's what that meant. Oh, that's why that was a behavior of mine. What were some of those for you looking back?
So I was born in the 80s. I grew up in the 90s, and transgender wasn't really a thing. Um, it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't a positive thing. It wasn't painted in the same light it is now. And so I didn't have that, uh, like a lot of people my age, didn't have that positive view of transgender people. And so that was never really an option. But I did know I was very different from the other kids. Um, for instance, I remember during PE in middle school, we had to change out of our regular clothes into the PE clothes in the boys' locker room. And I could not do it. My parents actually had to talk to the school to make me exempt from changing, and I did PE in my regular clothes. Fortunately, it wasn't that intense, and I never got too sweaty, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Hmm.
But it kind of was. So that's just one breadcrumb. Another one was, and I'm saying this on the internet, I did not stand to pee until I was well into the military. And then it was just a convenience thing because you have to do randomized drug tests probably 3 or 4 times a year. And you have an observer there watching you pee into a cup. And they do not want to see you sit and pee into a cup. So I had to teach myself to stand to pee. And once I left the military, that went out the window. That's not a thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another breadcrumb. One, when I was well into adulthood, this was a couple years ago, and transgender was more of a positive thing. And it's, thank goodness, that we have that in our society now, that people can feel comfortable coming out. I I started exploring that just a little bit. I dipped my toe into it, and I tried on some women's clothes and looked in the mirror, and I said, "Oh, my shoulders are too broad," and like that was the reason I couldn't be a woman. Is my shoulders are too broad, like. Not these clothes are uncomfortable, or no, I don't like wearing women's clothing. Like, no, it's just my shoulders are too broad. I couldn't be trans.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are like little breadcrumbs. There were some other things here and there, but there was a lot of masking I had to do that started out as super consciously, just consciously, like crossing legs. I'd sit like this until somebody called me out on it. Like, that's not a very masculine way to sit. They didn't say it anywhere near as nice as that, but that's basically what they said. So I taught myself to put my ankle over the knee, because this is the masculine way to cross your legs, and now that's out the window.
Mm. Let's move towards coming out. And first, as we ease into that section, I want to know what was harder for you at that time, coming to acceptance and understanding that you were trans, and yeah, like I said, accepting that in yourself, or coming out and telling others.
The first person I came out to was my sister, and even then, it was more like, "Hey, I think that I'm trans, and she really helped with that. She's like, "Oh, cool. I want you to be happy, and if that's what makes you happy, then yeah, I support you." And that was very helpful. Um, I had to come out to my wife, um, and I had to do it quick. Otherwise, I felt like if I didn't tell her right away, I felt like I would be lying to her. And so that was during that week, and that was the hardest part, was coming out to her and telling her. She had shared with me in the very beginning of our relationship. We were married almost 4 years by that point, probably about 3.5, yeah, almost 4. And early on in our relationship, she shared something about her that made me think that, oh, this could go well, or it could go poorly. And I bit the bullet. I had to. Um, and I came out to her, and it did not go over well, to say the least. She's very supportive now. We're still very close friends. We talk to each other all the time. She's a wonderful person. I wish only good things for her. But that night was the end of our marriage.
Hmm. And what were some of the key points of her reaction? What was she saying that was the reason for that sudden change of heart in the relationship?
She was scared, rightfully so. I was scared. And it was a knee-jerk reaction. It was an explosive knee-jerk reaction, and just long story short, she said she couldn't be married to a woman.
Mm-hmm.
To which I responded with, "Fair enough. I have to go be me."
Yeah, and I know from personally knowing your story that that's pretty much what you did. Before we get to that part, let's talk a little bit about some of the other situations coming out. So your sister was accepting, even excited about it.
Yes.
Your the next person is your wife, and it's the opposite.
At that moment.
At that moment, yes. So you've had a win, you've had a loss. Where are you at then, and how did you approach coming out after that point? Did your wife's reaction cause you any trepidation in coming out to others?
It didn't. I knew my wife was going to be the hardest one.
Okay.
And I knew that because I am fortunate and privileged enough that I'm in a position where I'm very independent and I can take care of myself. I don't need to rely on anybody. I'm fairly removed from my parents. I don't talk to them very often, but I mean, we're still on good terms, more or less. But right after I came out to my wife, I came out to the rest of my siblings. I have 3 sisters and a brother. And that's, if you're keeping tally in the chat, that's a lot of sisters, and if you can't beat them. I also have 3 daughters. I have been surrounded by women my entire life. And so you'd think it would be easy for me, but there are some things I do struggle with. Anyway, so I came out to my siblings, and I told them my plan with my parents, because I was not in a position. It was right after I came out to my wife. I was not in a position I wanted to hear anything from them. So I wrote an email to each of them, and then coming out, and I prepped my siblings, like, hey, I'm sending these to our parents, because they're divorced. They live on the other side of the country. But so hey, I'm coming out to our parents. I want you guys to run referee for me, and I'm going to temporarily block everybody.
Okay.
And I blocked them for about a week just to kind of dip my toe in and hear back from my siblings like, oh yeah, they're supportive. They just want you to be happy. They still love you. Like, okay, cool. And then I unblocked them, and then that's when I started talking to them again.
Mm.
They're having my dad's side is doing better. My mom's side, not so much. Still get dead named, misgendered, and so it's because of stuff like that that I don't reach out very often anymore.
Yeah.
Still love them, but they live in Idaho and Florida, and if you're keeping track, those are not very good places for transgender people. And I have explained to them, if you want to see me, you have to come to me. I will not be going to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's coming out to my family. Everybody is supportive for the most part. Even my mom's side, they say they're supportive, and they're just stuck in their ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me a little bit after that to come out socially. I started with this amazing peer group in Ventura County.
Oh, do tell.
Hosted by Emily.
Yeah.
Do we want to tell that story yet?
We'll tell that story next.
Okay.
Let's first say, did you have anybody during that process of coming out to family, and then I guess we're jumping over socially, but just hold on a second. Did you have anybody that you came out to that supported you in a way that you weren't expecting, that surprised you?
Yeah, work a little bit. My coworkers. I was the manager at a small tower in Southern California, and there was just 5 of us. So it was me and three operators that worked for me, and I had been medically transitioning for 5 months. Yeah, about 5 months. And I felt like, it's like a Band-Aid, gotta rip it off. And so I did. And back up a little bit, there had been some transphobic remarks made in the workplace, to which I, as the manager, would be like, hey, we don't do that here.
Mm-hmm.
And they were receptive to that. The manager, who is not out yet, would be like, hey, we don't do that here. Like, oh yeah, sorry. They were receptive to that, so that when I did come out to them, they were more prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very supportive. They were surprised. Mostly, I was painting my nails by then, so they were surprised, but they were like, oh. Okay, we get it now. And I was wearing unpadded sports bras to hide my chest. And then after I came out, and I told them, so I'm going to be dressing more femininely around the workplace. And they were supportive. I did have one of the guys that worked for me. He was 70. He's got to be about 72 now. So he was 71 at the time, and he was the one I was worried most about. But he was the easiest. Said, hey, I'm transgender. He's like, okay. All right, I'll see you Monday.
Oh, that's perfect. And that's what we want to get, right?
Right.
That's what we want coming out or being transgender to be. It's just like, okay, so yeah, what do you want from me? What are we doing here? What are you doing here today?
And once I came out at work, I came out everywhere, like at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I came out to my neighbors, and one of them said to me, like, I thought I saw you in the window wearing a skirt. Like, yeah, that happened. Because before, Katie would not leave the front door. Katie was an indoor cat, trademark. And Katie did not leave the front door. After I came out at work, and I came out everywhere, and then there was nothing but Katie. And that's where I wanted to be. I didn't look back. and it was like grease lightning from there. Like, what?
Can confirm.
Within 3 months of that, I had my name legally changed.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So that's my coming out.
Yeah, you had such a lucky position to be in. You know, work and family are often two of the biggest ones. We can lose a lot from our friend groups as well. That's a total possibility, but I find that generally work and family are the two hardest. So you had pretty good results with family, and then when it comes to work, you were the boss, and you were already kind of molding and shaping them to be better humans as far as LGBT jokes and things like that were concerned. So they were in a pretty primo place, and it's still up to the individual to accept and how they're going to react. But it sounded like you got really lucky there. So let's go ahead and tell the story. So you come out to your wife.
So I come out to my
there you
wife,
go.
and pretty much beginning that night we were separated. I
Mhm.
moved into another room in the house. We were packing up, getting ready to move to Southern California. I had this job in Ventura County, and she is an actress. She wants to, like, a legitimate actress. She's a card, and back then she was a card-carrying member of SAG-AFTRA. It's just there's not a lot of work for actors in Virginia, and so she was really excited about moving to Los Angeles. So we're getting ready to move, and I come out, and we separate, and now instead of the whole family moving to SoCal, it's just me. And I have a 3,000-mile drive from Virginia to California. And I decide that I'm going to need something to listen to. So I try and pull up a podcast. Well, what kind of podcast am I going to listen to? The biggest thing going in my life right now is exploring my gender identity. So I'm going to search for transgender on Amazon Music and see what kind of podcasts come up. And for this, there's no suspense in this story because of the host. But there was suspense for me. I had no idea what was going to happen. And I found the Transgender Show. And there were many episodes for me to listen to. And that's all I listened to for my 36-hour drive from Virginia to California. I listened to many of your episodes. And at one point, I remember stopping just to see, what does Emily look like? Because all I've got is audio. What does Emily look like? Oh, that's what Emily looks like. And so I get a little bit settled into SoCal. And I've been there about 3 weeks. And I had found through Google a transgender peer group in Ventura.
Always important to find friends, build up that
Yes.
network. There you go. Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I show up, and it's hosted by a trans woman named Gwen. Very lovely person. Very small crowd that night. There was easily less than 10. Probably count all of us on a hand. And she said that normally Emily is the host of the group, but she couldn't be here tonight, but she'll be here to lock up when we're done. And I thought, it couldn't be that Emily. That was 3,000 miles ago. Come the end of the meeting, it's time to lock up. And sure to God, it is that Emily. And like, oh my God, what is happening? And I pull you aside. And I say, so you're somewhat of a celebrity to me. and I gave you I was still fresh out of coming out to my wife, and she wanted me to, like, hey, really think about this a little bit more before you commit. So I wasn't committed by then, and I gave you my dead name. I introduced myself to you as my dead name. Used he him pronouns. I was not ready Gosh, it took about 3 meetings
Uh,
for me to like, no, I'm Katie, she, her, thank you.
and I think even after that, when we kind of started to hang out, there was still a lot of boy moding going on.
There was. But I mean, relatively speaking, I don't think that lasted too long.
No, no, probably not. But yeah, I just thought it was funny. We've had a couple folks in the peer group that come in and they're like, I'm not sure. I'm kind of questioning, and they kind of tell you their story. And I have interviewed so many trans people on this show, that I've heard all of the things, and it's just like, you're questioning. You're not sure yet. It's just like, okay, let's just kind of point you in a direction.
Notice that you're here.
Yeah. When you seek out a trans peer group, you listen to the show. Like, I don't know what others might say, but I'm pretty sure at least. So yeah, it was like I said, we've had a couple people in the group that are introducing themselves as dead name. I'm not sure about pronouns yet, and all, or if I'm gonna change my pronouns. It's like, okay, and it's just like, all right, tell us when, not if. It's not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when you're ready to tell us a name and tell us pronouns. And the way we make that fun in the group is, when someone new walks in, I loved to, so when we sit down, we go around the room and we introduce name and pronouns. And then I have a warm-up question, something to kind of get everybody used to talking before we have to get into anything serious. Just get the idea out there. You're going to be talking. Let's get comfortable with it. And so there were a few episodes in a row, or a few sessions in a row, where we made a real joke of it, to, if anybody came in late, to go around the room again. And that there have been days where like 5 people come in, you just kind of trickle in later, and so we just keep doing it over and over again. And we'll get the people that will keep saying, oh, I'm not sure about my pronouns, I'm not sure about my pronouns, I'm not sure about my pronouns. It's like, okay, it's all right, we'll get to your pronouns soon, because I know it's coming, because like I said, I'm experienced with this. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, but I love that story so much because, I mean, you've been my best friend ever since that night. Like, we quick, and I mean, you changed my life. And I try and remind you that so much.
And even as you say it now, I'm just kind of rolling my eyes.
You're like, get out of here.
I was there. I was definitely there. I influenced. I was part of it. I'm so glad that the show was there and was there for you at exactly the right time when you needed it. When you needed something to listen to for 36 hours. And plus, trust me, like, my episode alone is 3 hours long. So there's plenty of content out there if you've got a long drive.
Highly recommend.
Yeah, and then just a little bit more backstory on like the whole best friends thing. We just quickly became that sort of ride or die, where we were each other's, hey, I'm just randomly feeling like doing X. What do you think? And then the other one would be like, yeah, I'm there. Let's go.
The other one would be like, do you know what my middle name is?
Yeah, anytime I said, hey, you want to go on an adventure? I knew I had her. So, what would you say has been the hardest part of this whole experience, this whole gender journey and exploration for you emotionally?
See, and the thing is, I tell people this a lot too. My gender transition is the easiest thing that's going on in my life. It has been since the beginning. Period. Because, like I said, I've made myself a roadmap and follow that roadmap, and this is how I'm transitioning. And I haven't really strayed from it. And so my gender transition is the easiest thing that's going for me. I will say too that while unfortunately I lost my spouse because of it, because I didn't have that person to check in with. I work on my own timeline now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to check in with, hey, are you going to be comfortable with me legally changing my name? Hey, are you going to be comfortable with me presenting feminine in public? Are you going to be comfortable with me doing these things to my body that make me feel more like me? I don't have anybody that I have to check in with for that, and that's freeing.
Mm-hmm.
That's so freeing. And I think that's why it's so easy for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Once you've got coming out under your belt and you know where you stand with everybody, I used to, in interviewing people, I would really think that it's a shame, it's a real big tragedy if the person lost their spouse. It's so hard, and that's the person that's supposed to always have your back, and then they turn on you, essentially. They abandon you, however you want to look at it. And it can be really difficult because having that person in your corner can feel like it makes everything easier. It's easier to handle. It's easier to come out to work and all of those sorts of things. But yes, as I've gone through this and heard so many stories of people who did lose that relationship, but were then free to completely move at their own pace, it's one of those where both scenarios have big benefits.
Yeah, and the other side of that coin, sure, I'm free to do things I want. The hard part about that is I don't have anybody to come home to. It's just me and the dog, and who's sleeping over in the corner.
Just passed out.
He does not care. And back in Virginia, before all this started, I had a family. I had a wife. I had 3 biological children, a stepchild, whom I still love them all so much. And they're not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the hard part.
Yeah. Did you feel any kind of increased distance, or was any part of that, the relationship with those children, affected by the fact that you came out as trans?
None of it was affected by me being trans.
Okay.
No, the rift was not created because I'm trans. And I think that's a testament to their generation. Is they're also very accepting of anything LGBT. And so I was not afraid to come out to them.
That's wonderful. We talked about the most difficult part of the journey for you emotionally, and I think I think you'd agree that it was losing your spouse and what came of that. And then, what would you say, if you have anything? What was the hardest part physically up to this point? You mentioned your shoulders.
No, so actually, since being on HRT for a while now, my shoulders are fine.
Okay.
And I mean, you've heard over the past couple months, just the euphoria I get looking in the mirror, or even like yesterday when we were setting up all the cameras and stuff. I'm sitting here like, I'm so cute, I'm so pretty. I just get this euphoria. There are some things that I'm not happy with that I really want to change. My anatomy, for one. So that's on the docket. That's actually scheduled. I'm excited about that. What should be coming up sooner rather than later is FFS and breast augmentation. And when I tell people about getting fake boobs, they're like, "Oh, but your boobs look so nice." To which I reply with, "Thank you. It's mostly bra." But there are features on my face that I do want to change. I feel like my jawline, especially my chin, is very masculine, and so that's something that's on the list of things to change. Um, Larger chest area, um, and I think that's putting it mildly. And then
Larger is putting it mildly.
larger is putting it mildly. Um, I'm very excited about it. And once I get bottom surgery, and that's scheduled for next August, I feel like other than the permanent hair removal, which this is a constant process anyway. Other than that, I think once I finish bottom surgery, I could confidently say I have completed my transition.
Let's get deep. I'd love to do that. When talking about gender exploration and this entire journey that we go on, what has gender exploration meant to you?
Unmasking, and I've been unmasking in other ways, and you've seen a lot of it in these past couple months. Unmasking, being me, and not. You called me out on a hand gesture a couple weeks ago, where I got a little sassy, put my hand on my hip, and my hand that just came naturally to me. So I'm not masking stuff like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before, I'd be like, "Oh, you can't put your hands on your hip. That's not masculine. That's feminine." There's people who call me out on that. And so I don't have to mask that anymore. And that's really what it means to me. And unmasking in other ways too. You mentioned in my intro, exploring neurodivergence, and I think we could cover that later on. But unmasking that way too, and just being the true me, my true self. That's what it's about.
Yeah, we talk on this show a lot about how it's that coming out as trans and learning to accept yourself and do all those sorts of things is not the end thing, because once you break that barrier and you do that incredibly difficult thing and that incredibly difficult soul searching and self realization, self actualization, none of the other things really make sense either, that you're pretending to be, that you're trying to be. You just get to this point of like, well, if I can do this and truly be myself, then why would I mask in this other way? Why would I pretend to be this or not that? So it ends up being a much bigger thing than just a journey exploration, a gender exploration. I'm skipping a bunch of questions because I think we've covered several.
There was one more. Oh, I was gonna say too. I find it so much easier to refer to myself as a woman or a lady than it was before to refer to myself as a man. Like, it was uncomfortable for me to call myself a man before, but now it's just so easy to refer to myself as a woman, and it just feels natural. And that's what it's about, is being the natural, my natural self.
So we talked a little bit about some things that you feel maybe a little bit dysphoric about. Are there days or moments where you struggle strongly with dysphoria?
Strongly with dysphoria, yes. I have had days ruined where I nicked myself pretty good on, although since I started transitioning, I don't nick myself anymore. I nick hold myself now. You're welcome. You can have that one with you.
So the 2 months of this.
2 months.
2 months.
I cannot turn it off. Where I've nicked myself pretty good on the chin, and like it bleeds. Like I'm gonna need a bandage for that one. And it just ruins my day, and I feel ugly about it. But more good days.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say,
far more good days than bad.
I gotta say, I completely agree with that. Maybe not nicking myself so much, but definitely having to shave every day to look and feel feminine just I mean, at some point it just feels like bullshit.
Yeah. So, and I stopped shaving every day. I shave every other day now, just because want to give. I don't want to keep doing that to my skin, and so I'm very obviously a trans woman with 5 o'clock shadow. Fortunately for me, it doesn't grow back that fast, but I obviously have a mustache uh, when I'm not wearing makeup, which I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and I'm out the door by 6. I do not want to put on makeup in the morning, so they just get raw Katie
Mm-hmm.
at work, and I don't care. And I think something else that helps that is where I live. It's so gay here. I love it. Emily, you've seen pride flags on every corner in the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. I'm so welcomed here. And so I can be my true self here without worrying very much about being judged for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. In the 2 months that I've been here, I've not only observed a ton of trans and of course LGBT folks, but yeah, like you mentioned, seeing at least like every third business has a pride flag in it and a Black Lives Matter sign, and hanging from balconies on apartments. It's all over, and it's not just it's focused in one district, one area of the downtown or greater area. It is everywhere, and yeah, it's a wonderful thing, and I love that you've gotten there. Regardless of where you live, if you've got acceptance from the people around you, that point that you can get to is so important. Where if you're not all pretty and perfectly put together, you can still go out and get your job done, be in public, hold your head high, and know that you're still Katie. Have that confidence that you're still you, and that's really important. And it can be really hard for people to get there, and that's something that I still struggle with at times. Is like, I've gotten I've improved significantly, and I feel that way a lot of the time. But then there's other times where I just don't want to go out of the house because I'm not presenting. I'm not going to look to people the way I feel and want to be perceived. What do you do when you have any of those moments, to maybe mentally reset yourself and reassure yourself that you're doing the right thing, that you're Katie, you're a woman. What do you do for that kind of internal self validation and self soothing?
And the thing about that is I don't have to remind myself that I'm Katie. You're just Katie. I think that's what it's supposed to be about. That's my opinion. That's what it's supposed to be about. Like, this is Katie. I chose my words specifically. Raw Katie going into work. Like, this is Katie. Period. Mm-hmm. This is who she is. And so there's no reminding myself that. It's just default. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything you feel like you've been able to achieve or accomplish because of the fact that you're trans? Has that opened any possibilities to you that you wouldn't have had before?
I've met a lot of wonderful people because of it. A lot of wonderful people. And I think that's the best one. Is all the great people I met. There's so much love in this community, and I feel like that's what the community is all about. Really, is love, and that's what I love about it. Is because I'm a loving person.
That seems like that might answer the next question, but let's see if you have something else. What is your favorite thing that you've learned about either yourself or the world around you through this?
I want to say I've learned that I'm strong because I have been fighting my whole life over many different things. so I knew I was strong. And this is just another test for me. Not another test, but another battle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even then, I mentioned before, my transition's the easiest thing that's going on for me. Uh, so it isn't even that hard of a battle for me. What have I learned about myself
Or the world around you.
or the world around me? There's a lot of love. There's also a lot of hate. For no reason except other than to just hate.
Mhm.
And that's unfortunate.
I would say, at least through my experience, the love is what I get to my face. The hate, I've had some people like driving by and making a comment or whatever, but as far as like directly to my face, like it's been, it's been primarily love and acceptance. And I've really appreciated that the bad ones are the ones that kind of disappear into the background. They just sort of pull away from you, or they're online and they say their horrible, nasty things, but they're they're not up in your face. Is that something you have found as well?
Um, Not directed towards me. Not directed at me, but I have seen it directed at fellow trans siblings, and just gotta block it out. That's what I do. Is I block it out. I got off the app Threads because of all the transphobic comments on there. Like, I don't need to deal with this. Oh gosh, with the election coming up, I quit TikTok for a while because my algorithm is just all political, and I just can't do that to me. Gosh, back in 2020, I was listening to NPR. I had a 45-minute drive to and from work, and I was listening to NPR the entire time. And back in 2020, we had that election, and I just could not take it anymore. I had to turn the radio off. And it might be sticking my head in the sand, but I also developed a mantra years and years ago that I have a finite amount of things I can worry about before I get myself. You can have that one too. And that's just to say that I can only worry about so many things. So if I don't have to worry about it, I'm not going to. If it's out of my control, there's nothing I can do except vote, I guess. I'm not an activist, but I can vote, and that's what's in my control. And past that, if I can't do anything, then why am I subjecting myself to all this negativity? So yeah, I'm gonna stick my head in the sand. And people may have feelings about that, but that's the great part of me is I don't care what anybody thinks about me, and that's how I'm able to be me too.
Yeah, that's a pretty amazing place to get to. As we wrap up, what is your favorite piece of advice, or what advice do you have to pass on to younger closeted trans folks out there?
Oh, that's a difficult one because it's really easy for me to say, just do it. It's so worth it. But I've also in a privileged position where I am able to support myself. I don't rely on anybody. And after I came out to everybody in the world, I had one friend who I hadn't heard from in a long time reach out to me and say that they're closeted trans, but they can't transition. They've discussed it with their spouse, and their spouse is not on board, and that's what's holding them back from transitioning. And so it's easy for me to sit here and say, just do it. It's so worth it. But I was in that position to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And not everybody lives in areas that allow them to do that. And my heart goes out to them. keep fighting.
Hmm.
Not everybody's a fighter, but it's so worth to just keep fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if there's something in that sort of like what we've gotten through this episode here of the things you can do for yourself to accept who you are, even if you're not allowed to present in a way that allows others to see it or to come out to people in a way that makes them understand it. So, like choosing your name and just identifying as that, even if you're not telling other people it, just knowing that you are Katie. Even if you can't be Katie out with other people, um, finding ways to dress on the DL or do other little things for yourself.
So your neighbor can catch you in the window.
In the window, yes. Make sure you've got good blinds.
But even then, like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, getting caught by my wife was some of the things that led to, I think, to the demise of our relationship. We did have something come in from chat that is related to coming out and transition. So let's go ahead and get to this. This is from Nick over on YouTube. Thank you so much for your question. Sorry, it took us a while to get to it. Could you speak to whether or not your day-to-day habits changed at all once coming out? Did you find yourself leaning into certain hobbies more? I think those are two big different things.
Those are two big different things. One thing I learned is how much fun shopping is. And here's another breadcrumb for you. When I was married to my second wife, the one I came out to, I would say on occasion, have you noticed how much lingerie there is for women, but hardly any for men, if at all? There's a flag.
The harmless little observation, yeah,
Harmless little observation.
A little tinge of jealousy in the voice there.
Jealousy. And one of my favorite things to do since coming out is like, playing dress up. Except I'm the doll now, and I have so much fun with it. And I love when I have a friend there with me to help out. So I'd say that's one. Shopping, getting my eyebrows done, mani-pedis, those are fun. Although I got mani-pedis before too, before my transition. Not on my own, but so that didn't change. Any hobbies though? Oh, so that's like my day-to-day thing. Is the only difference is what am I gonna wear today? But I didn't have that problem in the military either. It was always the same thing every day.
Yeah, I was fascinated to find out, to finally be on this side and have that happen to me, where you you go into a closet full of clothes that you have put together phenomenal outfits on for every occasion on multiple days, many days. And this day, you walk into the closet and you look at everything and you say, I have nothing to wear. And, previously, I thought that was like some kind of, weird BS excuse, or maybe that was like a certain, I don't know, type of woman that would feel that or whatever. And to have that happen it's such a like paradigm shift where it's just like, oh, I get it now. I literally have nothing to wear. I'm looking at hundreds of pieces of clothing, but no, I have nothing to wear.
Oh, what was another one? I'm washing my hair that night is a legitimate excuse. I can't. I'm washing my hair that night. I get it now. I get it.
One of the things I think that Nick might have been getting at in that question is something that we kind of talk about here. And just forgive Seattle if the traffic that's right outside this window, a bunch of motorcyclists going by, revving their bikes up, is being picked up on mic. Sorry about that. This is life in the big city, y'all.
We're still 17 floors up, and you can still hear that.
Oh yeah, it just all echoes up. One of the things that I found was sort of a milestone in my journey was getting to the point of accepting the things of myself that feel, look, would be, to an outside observer, a quote unquote masculine activity, something that guys do or whatever. Allowing those things to kind of creep back into my habits, my hobbies, the things that I do, and accepting that I'm a multifaceted woman. I'm a, I'm not any kind of cookie cutter. I've got feminine things that I do, I have masculine things that I do, and all of that is okay because, again, like you said, for you it's all Katie. No matter how you presenting or whatever, it's still Katie. And that's a really big important place to get to, is like, this hobby doesn't have to be looked at as a male hobby or whatever. This habit, this activity, it's it's an Emily activity. It's something that I like to do. And if other girls, other women don't do that, that just adds to what makes me unique and special. And like I said, it's honestly, I talk about it like it, kind of no big deal, but it took a long time to get there and to accept those things and do them and not think negatively of myself because I was giving in to the old me. And so that's what I would say to you, Nick. And thank you for that question.
Also, uh, not really a hobby or anything. Uh, I do wanna touch on this. This is nothing deep at all. But pants are stupid. Um, I had a whole week where my catchphrase was, I'd get home from work, I'd rather wear an underwire than pants, and then I'd change out of my pants from work. Skirts and dresses. That's where it's at.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I do like my pants, though. I've got lots of cute leggings, and I do love wearing them. Mine, being a Southern California girl, is shoes are stupid. Living in downtown Seattle, like, you get so many looks if you're out barefoot, and it's like, what, people? Okay, I'll freaking put shoes on. Like, it's been since like the first 2 weeks that I've been here that I've actually like legit walked around barefoot, just because, yeah, you get seriously judged for not wearing
You're
shoes.
probably gonna get judged in the chat too.
Yeah, probably. But shoes are dumb. Shoes are done. Comment. Agree or disagree. So we are going to, well, I'm messing up my cut. This is going to be a lot of editing. It was going to be anyways because we got to work in the different cameras, so it's just fine. Emily, go with it.
Emily would go.
Emily would go with it. Katie, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your story and being here with me tonight.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this since the beginning.
Well, y'all, that is it for the episode. We will take our break and we'll come back, and I will get a drink as per usual, more wine perhaps. That's for you, Rich. And we'll talk about other things. Let's talk about possible ADHD, possible autism, unmasking there, and anything else we can get into. Get your thinking caps on, y'all, and start thinking of some questions for us. I have spent 2 months in Seattle. I had a friend pass away. I got horribly sick. I sort of had kind of a silly falling in love experience that went horribly sideways. I've dated. I have had a friend, not mentioning any names, who no longer has a gallbladder. There is a lot of stuff for us to cover, and we'll do that after the break. So, like I said, get your questions going. I can actually do this from here. I can't read it. It's just over there, but let's see. Let's see what this break screen looks like. This is a different build than I'm used to of the Transgender Show scenes because I'm on the laptop. So let's see what this looks like. All right. Close this little window. I think this is the right scene. Yeah, there we are. Thanks for hanging with us through the break, y'all. We don't have any questions yet, so please, 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 Rich, yes, if you have Sonic questions, please bring those in. I'm sure Katie would love to nerd out about anything Sonic. And yeah, Bad Wolf one, we do. The thing is that regardless of what we do, Twitch will run ads, and if we don't run ads, Twitch will run pre-roll ads when people come in and join us. And so before you can watch the stream, you have to watch ads, and that's pretty dumb. So playing that 3-minute ad break while we take a break really does help because it kills the pre-roll ads for, I don't know, somewhere between a half hour. I don't think it goes as far as an hour. It's like halfway between an hour or a half hour and like 40 minutes. What are TV bucks? What the hell are those nowadays? So, you know, you can do currency within the Twitch stream, and you can use them so that people can quote unquote buy things. You can do little things within the chat. I don't know that we really have anything set up right now. It's been a while since I've had the help of the folks that were really good about doing those things, making sure that all worked and all of that. So we never liked the name TV Bucks. We never we had it Fee Bucks before because of the Transgender Show Phoenix, and nobody understood how to pronounce it, and that was a disaster. Now it's TV Bucks, and I don't know. You know, if you go down below in the chat, over to the left, yeah, there's that bubble with the TV bucks, and you can click on it. And if you've got a certain amount, then you can do something. Maybe you can highlight your comment in chat. That's the thing that's supposed to make it more engaging and more fun. And I'm dropping the ball there, so sorry about that. It's ads backwards. All right. So, what should we talk about now? Let's jump into an extension of the topic we covered in the first part, which is unmasking and the power that unmasking from being trans and now no longer trying to pretend to be a gender is a really big and hard thing. And once you sort of break that seal, then none of the other boundaries or boxes that society or ourselves place on us seem to make any sense. And we're able to, whether or not that part's true, we're able to really fully examine every aspect of our lives and go, well, where else am I just pretending? Where else am I being something that isn't true to who I am, that I don't really want to be, that I've always felt like I need to be? And one of the things that's been really big while I've been on this trip here with you is your belief, your self-diagnosis of autism. Now, you know, I've been seeing TikTok videos and Instagram stuff like crazy about ADHD, and I go through and I watch those videos and I go, oh yeah, check. All of that seems to apply to me. What are some of the things from autism videos or things that you've read that seem to have led you down this path of believing that you might be undiagnosed?
Number one, STEM.
Which I don't know if any people realized she's been doing the entire time.
The entire time. I have my little fidget here. Because I have to always have something to do with my hands. That's how I concentrate. Eye contact is a big one. And like I consciously maintain eye contact. That's a conscious effort for me. And not stimming is another one. But yeah, I see a lot of videos like that, and I'm learning more and more as I watch them because I fell into Autism Talk, and
is another Reddit?
No, TikTok.
Autism.
You know, in between the political nonsense, it's autism this and mental health that. huge on mental health, by the way. It's such an important topic to me. Um, but I learned more and more seeing other autistic people, autistic content creators, talk about their experiences, and just like surfing Reddit and reading all those transgender people's experiences coming out in HRT and what transgender means to them, and relating to these experiences, I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's me. And autism isn't a new thing for me. Questioning it anyway. My youngest daughter was diagnosed with autism back when she was 5, and she just turned 16. So that was math ago.
11.
Yes, thank you. It was math ago.
Math
is
years.
not my strong suit.
Not a math.
I can
guy.
do
Okay.
it. I can do it, but it's not my favorite. It's not my special interest, which is another autistic trait. But she was diagnosed when she was 5, and around the time I was learning what autism was more, and reading like the autistic traits, and like, check, check, check. I was not married to the right person at the time. That was my first wife. I was not married to the right person at the time, and I brought it up with her, and basically, this isn't about you. This is about our daughter right now. But someday I would like to explore that, and I never did get to, especially in the military. There might be a waiver for autism, but you're not supposed to have autism in the military. Especially in my profession too.
Okay.
Which is ironic because I rock at my profession, and I think it's because of autism.
Yeah, that was one of the things that you're saying recently, looking back on your military service. The reason that you were able to even put up with and do it, and the rigor of it and everything, was because of the autism, because your need for that structure.
It's so, well, just the military alone, the structure, and it became. I learned it was a game for me, promoting anyway, and I learned how to play the game, and I played the game, and I ended up retiring at the second highest enlisted rank you can achieve, Senior Chief Petty Officer, which is something I'm very proud of. I can't say that, I'm not gonna go into that, but Veterans Day is my favorite holiday because it's a day in which I get to celebrate my accomplishments that I achieved during my entire adult life. And it is about me. It's like my birthday almost.
I love that.
Yeah.
Did you see that in chat much earlier? Rich had said, "Thank you, thanked you profusely for your service." He works at a VA hospital.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. I mean, you're welcome, of course. For me, it was just a job, and I can't speak for every veteran. But I will say being thanked for my service makes me uncomfortable because I personally don't feel like it was that big of a deal for me. But I'm also the person who doesn't acknowledge that, hey, Katie, you just had emergency surgery, or hey, Katie, you've been fighting with this your entire life. And hey, Katie, be kind to yourself because you put up with a lot of shit. To which, in my mind, like, oh, this is just my day to day.
Well, I can jump in on that and say that I know that I have heard stories of things that you had to not only put up with, but absolutely endure in the service. Sleeping on the ship. There have been comments about that. Just all of the different things about being on a ship for very, very long periods of time. Like it was part of a job, yes, but there was a lot of work, and there was a lot involved in it, and there was a lot that wasn't great about it.
And I suppose the reason we don't say thank you for your service to the offshore oil rig workers is because they're doing it for capitalism and not, national defense.
Mm.
But it's the same kind of environment where you have that isolation from everybody except a small crew of people. Although an aircraft carrier is in a small crew, 3 to 5,000 people.
Wow.
That's a floating city. But my point stands. It's an isolated environment, um, and it's just it was just my day to day.
So, getting back to chat, Bad Wolf had kept commenting about the points and converting. Yes, there is on the former Transverse server, Discord server, which is now Transection, which is run by Rosa, our IT person in Australia. There, she's got some fun games and different stuff on there that you can use your Transverse points, your TV bucks, to convert to, and then do things over there on the server. So if that's something you're interested in, I would head over to the Transection Discord server and check that out and see what all that's about. That is there's an easy way to get to that. Thetransverse.net, you gotta have the in there, thetransverse.net/Discord will take you straight there. Rich says that I stem like crazy. Sometimes my stemming involves putting a number of words together that either don't fit or didn't finish the sentence. But Rich converted some TV bucks, so there you go. 500 became 2,000 points over on the server. Rich also says, my grandfather was a chief petty officer in the Navy.
Yeah, so I know firsthand what that means and what an accomplishment that is. So I appreciate you sharing with you.
I wanted to point out I am using a Starbucks bottle here, but I want to assure you all, fans of the Transverse, I am not drinking coffee. This is wine. This is red wine.
I want to assure you all, I do have wine glasses.
The wine was already in the bottle. Why would I pour it into a glass? Let's go over and talk to our friend Amanda, who's in the YouTube chat. In the YouTube chat.
I see her question.
What is it?
What's my favorite menu item from Sonic? Such an Amanda question.
It's such an Amanda question. So the thing is, now I'm just gonna tangent real quick. ADHD, thank you. I'm self-diagnosed with that. I need the diagnosis. I need the medication actually. We get Sonic and Dairy Queen ads all the time where I'm at. And the nearest of either of those that actually serve the food that they show, because we do have a Dairy Queen, but it's just the frozen treats, the ice cream stuff. So to get a burger from a Dairy Queen or a Sonic that we have ads for all the time is an hour and 20-minute drive from my house. That's the closest of either of those. And yet we get the ads all the time. So I could not answer this question for the life of me, but I know that you lived in the South. Everywhere, man.
Almost every corner.
So you've been to many a Sonic.
I've been to, and when I lived in Virginia, my house was less than half a mile from the Sonic.
There you go.
And no, we did not stop there very often. So
just probably mainly because it's not good food.
So a burger with sourdough buns and bacon. I don't remember what it's called. It's probably like a Supersonic or something like that. It's whatever. Thank you for asking, Amanda.
Amanda is a bonanza.
And I add to my answer to her question with a gigantic eye roll.
Of course. She says the first joke's free. I was going to be really mean and say let's hope it's the last, but I don't mean it, Amanda. Please, we love you. We love your sense of humor. Keep it coming.
She knows.
She knows. Obviously, the joke was because of this fun pile. We got done setting up yesterday. Katie has been here in Seattle for about 6 months. I would not call the apartment sparse, but there isn't an abundance of things. Like these very nice pillows are the 2 pillows that exist other than sleeping pillows in this apartment. So we needed them for back support, even though I thought it would make good decoration in between. So then we got the brilliant idea of moving her Sonic plushie collection over here. Let's talk briefly about this, or if y'all have lots of questions about it, we can talk, I'm sure, at great length about it. I know that you have one that's very important and very special to you. Let's talk about that one first.
He's going to be 30 on Christmas. I got that when I was 10.
10. Wow.
He's been with me ever since.
Wow.
And he's showing his age.
It looks like he's already been repaired a little bit, huh?
Oh, I mean, I did my best. Yeah, I've looked up a stuffy repair on online. You have to send them away, and I have big feelings about that. But yeah, this is my teddy bear. Other than that teddy bear who's sleeping.
We'll try and get him on camera later. Rex needs to come up here. Rich says that he knew you were gonna pick that one up, and of course, like, it's always the old ratty one, right? It's sort of like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You know that the dirty, beaten up one is the real one.
Yeah, this is the real Sonic. All the other ones, they're fun, and I like displaying them, but this is the one that means everything. Like, if anything happened to these guys, be like, oh, whatever, I gotta get another Sonic outfit. I would be devastated if anything happened. This is my blanket.
When I loved moving here and learning the different Sonics, I did not know that there were two Sonics. And would you go ahead and point out to people what the differences are here and how many of each we've got?
Well, you have classic Sonic, the lighter blue, and the quickest way you can tell is by the color of their eyes. Classic Sonic eyes are all black, and then you have modern Sonic, who has green eyes. That's the quickest way you can tell. He's a darker shade of blue. He's also lankier and a little thinner too. Yeah, that's the main difference.
Where are you on the movies? What have you thought about the portrayal in cinema and the casting as well?
I think, casting. I could do without James Marsden. And all those sections. Nothing against James Marsden. I love him as an actor, and I think he's a lot of fun. I just felt like those characters, so the other live action characters, were kind of out of place. And were put in there, I don't know, by the studio maybe. Like, hey, we have to have something cute. Outside of that, fantastic. I think they're some of the best video game adaptation movies out there, and I'm very biased. I'm not afraid to say that.
I remember seeing that one in a Sega Visions magazine. You mean the original stuffy that she had from being a kid? Sonic almost had fangs until Sega of America did some dental work. Is that a fact that you were aware of?
I was not aware of that. I can tell you that Tails is a product of Sega of America. Oh gosh. Now we're really diving in.
Here comes we explored autism before. This is the real answer to the question of how do you know you're autistic?
Okay. So, Sonic the Hedgehog debuted in 1991 on Sega Genesis, produced by Sonic Team and created by Yuji Naka, whose birthday is September 17th, 1965. I know that because that's the level select code for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. When they were developing Sonic the Hedgehog 2, they developed that in America. Sega of America was developing that, and at the same time, Sega of Japan was developing their own Sonic game, Sonic CD. And that's why, while Sonic CD came after Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Sonic CD did not feature Tails because they were both being worked on at the same time. and that's why Tails appears in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, not Sonic CD.
Mm. Which was technically a sort of a sequel.
They were both sequels, yeah. And they're both featured on Sonic Origins, which I have on the Switch. Yeah, which they allowed you to, they made it so you can play Tails and everybody in those games.
Thank you for the comment, Walk Faster. We tried to get things set up so that everything was as good as possible, but yeah, this is.
Oh, was I too quiet?
You were too quiet. Yeah, we had the mic a little bit too far away from you. The other thing is, now that I've moved it a little bit, you can see on camera, just on her left shoulder, a little black sort of thing. That is a clip that was holding our phones to shoot the close-up shots that I will edit in for the video, and it's more like direct onto our faces rather than the camera, which is off to the side. And so that meant that once we got things set up and we thought it was good, we had to stick with it, because moving the microphone meant moving the cameras, and we couldn't do that. So thank you for that. We'll just mean a lot more work for me on the editing part, but it's fine. Yuji Naka.
Oh, he's in hot water. I think he's in prison now.
Yuji Naka is?
Yeah, insider trading.
Whoops. Get you every time. Rich loves Sonic Origins.
Sonic Origins is wonderful. Sonic Superstars. Sonic X Shadow just came out, and I pre-ordered the limited run games special edition, and so it's on its way. It's supposed to get here on Saturday.
It's like this big toy treasure box sort of a video. Like, it's a video game, and yes, it does come with a video game, but much more of it is dedicated to like tchotchkes and toys and crap. It's hilarious.
It's got a statue in it. And I'm super excited about it. It's gonna match my other statue.
Yeah, over here on the shelf behind the camera.
Sonic Shrine.
On her Sonic Shrine, which is where these usually
These are on loan from the Sonic Shrine.
She has a full size. She has a full size Sega Genesis, which is actually a statue with a Sonic standing on top of it, and the whole point of it is you push one button and it says Sega. And that's it.
Super proud of it.
And she loves it. And it's like, cool, girl. Now, I have to caveat that any criticism that I have, Sonic is to Katie as Star Wars is to Emily. And I am exactly as nerd about Star Wars as Katie is about Sonic. So, you know, there you have it. So it's all in jest. Yes, the Sonic statue from Sonic Mania.
Yes, that is the one.
All right, I think I'm just gonna let you I'll let you two talk and nerd together.
Welcome to the Sonic Show.
Well, thank you so much, Walk Faster. Yeah, I'm complimenting the work on the show and kind of keep it up. But thank you so much. It has been quite a while, and I must sincerely apologize, y'all. It has been 2 months while I've been here in Seattle. We had not gotten to getting things set up. I was hoping for space. I was hoping for a lot of things. And as we mentioned before, life got in the way.
You did that on purpose.
When I paused, it was just like I have to do the Goldblum, because we just watched Jurassic Park the other day as well. So we're just getting to this episode now and finally recording this, and then we have to put it all back, and I have to pack up because I'm leaving tomorrow at 10 a.m. So it's just a one-timer. But yeah, 2 months here, plus I think close to 2 months before I left that we have not had an episode. So we're pushing 4 months without an episode. And it's been the entire time that I've been up here, plus about a week, since we've had a release of a podcast episode. The next one that comes out will be a monumental one. As I teased earlier, life has been difficult up here with some certain things going on. For those of you who are big, longtime fans of the Transverse and have been with us for a while, you would have known Kari Aiden. Kari was someone who was a fan of this show. This was the first thing we did on the Transverse, back when the Transverse was the Transgender Show on Twitch, and she was a fan and got to be a mod. She was a big time contributor, and then was a mod for our Discord server, and then eventually became a producer for the news show that I did, Transverse News, and was monumentally important in making that show possible. It was so complicated to produce that show, and her help made that show possible. Kari Aiden passed away August 12th of this year, unfortunately, because of the way the internet works. You know, when your personality, when your connection to friends is through the internet, word can travel slowly sometimes. So we didn't find out about it until 4 days after I'd been here in Seattle, and we learned that she had passed away. All of that to say, well, a couple things. Kari, we love you wherever you are. You were an amazing contributor to this, and an amazing supporter. Thank you for everything you gave to us. I have been reminded by people that this show and the Transverse gave a lot back to you, and if I'm proud of anything, it would be that. But this next episode of the Transgender Show that will come out as a podcast and on YouTube will be Kari Aiden's episode. I hope y'all understand and can give me a little bit of patience on that as to why it's taken me so long to get that done, why it's been difficult. But I was doing some editing on it earlier, I think late last week, and I was able to get through it. So I think we'll be able to get that out very soon. And yeah, there'll be a couple announcements with that, because we'll use it as a fundraiser and a continuing fundraiser that we're doing to help her. So thank you all so much for allowing me to share that with you. That was like I said, 4 days into my trip here, and that was just the start of things. Basically, as soon as I got over my grief of that, or at least the big bulk of it, then I got horribly sick, and I was very sick for 4 days, and then for the next like 2 or 3, I was just feeling groggy and sluggish. Then I had a good experience that ended up leaving me emotionally kind of wrecked for a few days, for lack of a more specific answer. And then it seemed like things were going to smooth out. Going well. I had a couple dates. Things were good. I treated myself to a hockey game. I went over where Katie is in Seattle. It is walkable to lots of sports. And if you've watched me for a while, you know I am sporty spice. I love to play sports, and I love to watch sports. I have seen most of the sports here, and I treated myself to a hockey game. So it was a Wednesday night in late September, early October at this point. I'm there on a Wednesday. I get through the first and second periods, having a great time. It's awesome. And then I get a text from this one that says my doctor is sending me to the ER. So I'll let you tell them what led up to the doctor telling you that you were going to the ER.
Well, allow me to preface with, I don't get sick. You had the flu. You were out of commission for like a week.
Kicked my ass. There were 2 days where I felt horrid. 2 days where I had a horrendous headache and felt crappy from that. It wasn't here anymore. It was just in my head. And then probably 3 solid days of just feeling lethargic and unable to function. So that was that. I get sick. I get real sick sometimes. You don't get sick. What happens to you, though?
I get organ failure.
And why would you say that as if it was something that happened regularly?
Oh, because it happens regularly.
What happened to you first? What was the first indication that organ failure might be the Katie's body way?
This instance?
No. What was the first one?
The first one. My right lung collapsed on its own when I was 18. I just
decided,
yeah,
I'm done?
it was spontaneous pneumothorax.
Okay.
A little pocket of air on the outside of my lung called a bleb. That is the medical term.
Okay.
Decided to expand for no reason, and because it created that pressure, it effectively collapsed my lung. So I went to the ER for that, and they stuck a tube. It's called a pneumodart. It's a plastic box with a metal tube on it the size of a Bic pen, and they shoved that into my chest. And they said, but first, here's some paperwork, sign here and here, where you give you some good stuff. Okay, good. And then they shoved it into my chest. That allowed, they hooked it up to a vacuum. They sucked that air out, relieved the pressure. My lung was able to reinflate.
Okay. I feel like we need to pause. They said that they were going to give you good stuff. Was it good? Did it work?
Yes and yes.
Okay. Continue, please.
Yes. And I spent the weekend in the hospital for observation, and then they let me go. I was in the military about 6 months by this time. And they give me light duty for a month, so no physical training for a month. First day back to physical training. I'm feeling great. Let's do this. And we're doing jumping jacks, push-ups, and sit-ups. Now it's time to do the run. And we start the run, and 100 feet into it, ooh, and I fall out. And are you okay? No, I am not okay. I need to go to medical. Why they didn't call an ambulance for me? Oh, it's probably because once I settled down, I caught my breath. I guess they weren't as worried about me, but I did go.
She's breathing fine. Who cares?
I show up to medical and I say, "Hey, my lung collapsed about a month ago, and I'm pretty certain it just did it again." Oh, that's pretty. It's pretty extreme. I doubt it's even that. It's probably just a cramp in your chest. Take a deep breath in, stretch your chest out, and see if that feels any better. To which I replied with this look on my face.
And why would taking a deep breath be an issue for you at that moment?
Oh, because my lung collapsed. Again.
And as you've told me in other versions of the story, every breath was incredibly painful.
Oh, yeah. I could not. It was like a knife stabbing me in the chest every time.
Which is, just for y'all in the audience, is not a good thing.
Don't
clarify.
Took another x-ray. Guy came back. Hey, your lung collapsed. Back to the ER.
Who knew?
Back to the ER. Another pneumodart. And this time they tell me, hey, that was a lot of paperwork last time. Here's 2 Motrin. We'll be back in 20 minutes.
So no good stuff.
No good stuff this time.
They just, here's some
the scar I had from last time. They're like, we're going right back through that door. And they say this time, I swear to God, that man was up on the table with me, shoving that damn thing into my chest. And they say, since this just happened again, we're going to give you the surgery. It's called a pleurodesis. And we're going to have you come back on Monday. And we're going to give you the surgery. Like, okay, cool. So I come back on Monday. And I go in and I wake up from surgery. And the pneumodart's gone. Wonderful. But now I've got a tube this big sticking out of my side. That's hooked up to a vacuum to keep the pressure off my lung so it can remain inflated.
We talking Hoover? We talking,
I don't know, some medical vacuum. I was tethered to the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So if I had to go to the bathroom, they had to unhook me so I could go to the bathroom.
I don't know about y'all, but this all sounds so fun. Just Sign me up, right? And it looks like we have somebody in chat who has experienced it. So yeah, maybe it,
I spent 2 weeks in the hospital,
uh-huh.
and I didn't even cover about how my girlfriend came out from California to visit me, and she did not visit me. She proceeded to cheat on me with one of my classmates, and then she was no longer my girlfriend. Um, so there's some added drama there.
I need to finish this. Pause.
Um, yeah, but that's how I earned the nickname One Lung, and so that was my nickname in the rest of my career.
Mm.
This One Lung. That's how people knew me. They didn't know me as my last name. And as I went on in my career, I got more well known. Um, like, oh, you know One Lung? Yeah, I know One Lung. And there are people out there who probably didn't even know my last name. They just knew One Lung. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a collapsed lung, and it collapsed twice. So yes, that's a bit of a thing. But why do you say that, like, you don't get sick, you get organ failure just from a little lung collapse?
2012, we're off the coast of San Diego doing workups, and it's summertime, which summertime in San Diego sounds sunshiny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Off the coast of San Diego, it is not. The weather is bad. When the weather is bad, that's when the air traffic controllers are working. And we are understaffed, which means we're working all the time. We're working 17-hour days, which is just long enough for you to get off work, go to bed, wake up, and do nothing but work after that. Maybe that's why they say thank you for your service.
Yeah, I would say that deserves deserves thank yous.
And it took a toll on my body because we work in a dark room for 17 hours. And I woke up and looked in the mirror one morning, and I noticed that the whites of my eyes were turning yellow. I did not know at the time that jaundice was a sign of liver problems. I learned that because I had liver problems. So I went to medical that day, and they said, okay, we see it, but we're not going to do anything about it right now. Come back if it gets worse. Next day, I come back because it got worse. Now my skin is turning yellow. It's Sunday. They don't want to see me on Sunday. Come back tomorrow on Monday when we have sick call. All right. Come back Monday. Now it looks like I took a highlighter to my body. My pee is orange. They asked me to pee in a cup, and I gave them the cup, and they said, you need to hydrate. I am hydrated. This is not normal. This is not correct.
What's wrong with you people?
And they came back, and they said, we don't have the equipment on board to figure out what's going on with you. So they put me on a plane and shot me off back to San Diego, where I checked into the ER there. And that night, the ER doctor, I had ultrasound to rule out the big C word. Thank goodness it was not that. Doctor came back and said, hey, we're looking at your liver enzyme levels, and the only thing we can come up with is, I quote, your liver is very angry. Thanks. They have no solution for me. And they send me home about 2 o'clock in the morning. They come back in a couple, they set an appointment for me to come and do another blood draw. So every other day I'm going back to the hospital for blood draws because they can't figure out what it was.
And they're not calling it any kind of like liver failure, but just liver anger.
Liver anger.
It's a technical diagnosis there.
Took them 2 weeks for them to come back and say, hey, you have Epstein-Barr virus. Oh, Epstein-Barr virus. So I looked that up, and it's also mono. And the thing about Epstein-Barr virus is 95% of the population has Epstein-Barr virus, but only 5% of that population shows symptoms. Jaundice is a symptom.
And liver
Liver
not
liver
liver
anger
failure,
is another,
but liver anger apparently.
liver
is one of
anger
them. Okay. All
is
right. Well,
another
that's
symptom.
becoming that's sort of nearish, organ failure. Like, did you have anything else around that time that happened that would justify saying that you get organ failure?
A couple of years after that, I went in for more chest pains. This time on the left lung.
Okay.
X-ray. They come back, said, "Okay, good news. Your lung did not collapse. Thank goodness. You have pleurisy, and that's just a virus that inflames the lung." And that one got to the point where I would be out of breath just having a conversation. So I would have been struggling to breathe by now, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And these are just viruses that go away on their own. It just takes time. After that, about 2.5 years ago, when I was wrapping up my bachelor's degree, I was in my capstone course. I had one paper left, and I had this pain in my abdomen, and I decided to go to urgent care about it, and they took an x-ray, and they said, "We can't tell what it is without an ultrasound, and we don't have an ultrasound here, and we want you to go to the emergency room." So I went home because I had a paper due.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get that paper done.
Priorities. Yeah.
And 'cause that's how I operate. By the way, the first time my lung collapsed, they told me to go to medical. I went back to class because I didn't want to miss anything. My priorities are so askew. And I'm sitting there doing my paper, and my wife comes in. Second wife, the good one.
The good wife.
The good wife. She comes in, and I tell her, "Don't be afraid, but urgent care told me I need to go to the emergency room, which is exactly where I'm heading after I finish this paper. I'm almost done." "Get your ass in the car." "Fine, but at least let me get an email out to my professor." "Yeah, do it. Let's go." "Hey, I'm going to the emergency room because urgent care thinks I might have appendicitis," whatever.
No big. No
I
big
get
deal,
to the emergency room, and what's it called? MRI?
Yeah.
CT scan, one or the other. I
Okay.
can't remember which. One scan later said, "Yes, you have appendicitis, and that bitch needs to come out." So I have an appendectomy.
Mm-hmm. So yes, organ failure and
failure.
serious organ problems are definitely her thing. You know, the normal
that's my
colds and
thing.
flus, not so much. I got the flu. She had the flu shot, so she didn't even catch a whiff of it.
It passed over me.
And
I
we're
was fine.
this is a small apartment. Let me just tell you.
It's not that small.
It's small enough that if I had the flu, you should have got
I
the
feel
flu.
attacked.
No, that wasn't what I was saying.
I
I was
know.
just saying that
It's
we're in
really
close
nice
enough
apartment.
quarters that it would have should have affected you too. But now I have gone through my ringer, my own little personal ringer. I'm enjoying myself at a hockey game. The third period starts, and I get a text that says my doctor is sending me to the ER. Now that day, she had gone to see the doctor because her pee, as I like to describe, what looked like the consistency of Sam Adams. It looked like the color of Sam Adams. That kind of like a brownie orange. Like it was some serious shit, y'all. And sorry for getting a little bit graphic, if that is. And
They knew what they signed up for.
Yeah.
This is the Transgender Show.
Mm-hmm. With this one, and you know where I know how I do, especially when the wine, right? But I'm out of wine now. I need more wine. The other symptom she had is her eyes. She was like, "Are my eyes turning yellow?" And she pulled down so I could see the corner. I'm like, "Yeah, they are." Like, what does that mean? And she's like, "I need to go to the doctor," and blah blah blah. So she goes to the doctor. Doctor runs some tests. Doctor doesn't get the test results back until later, and get to Katie while I'm at the hockey game. I get this text.
8:30 at night, my doctor calls me, which if your primary care doctor is calling you at 8:30 at night, that's probably not a good thing.
No, no bueno, no bueno. So, I'm enjoying myself, and now I'm like, okay, I'll be right there. So I literally run out of the arena and run across the street to try and find the bus. The bus says that it's going to be there in 17 minutes. Um, and I'm like, I think I could make it home in that amount of time. That's how like small how close we are to everything here. Um, my friend is dying currently, so I literally ran home. I decided that the bus was not going to be the thing for me, so I literally ran home. We get her. We this is the part that people close to her are exasperated by, but we took the bus to get to the hospital. People were like yelling, "Uber! Why the didn't you take an Uber?"
So this is how that went down. Took the bus because that's my primary mode of transportation around
and
here.
It's
right
two
there.
blocks down, and then it takes us right to where the hospital
And
was.
then a quick little jaunt to the ER, and you're there.
Half a block.
And we're in the ER, and somebody, we've been there for what, maybe an hour or so.
I think it took close to 2 hours for them to get us in.
Well, yeah, but after, I don't know, maybe an hour, just sitting in the waiting area, I heard somebody talking about like getting an Uber home, to which I turned to Emily and slapped her on the leg. We could have taken an Uber. Of course. Why didn't I think of this?
And so now the thing is to understand. This is we're going to backtrack a little bit. I ran home because I did not want to wait for the bus. This was top priority. I get home and I don't want to freak her out. You don't want to freak the patient out. You want to be calm and handle it. The patient wanted to take the bus. It was very reasonable because the bus is close and the bus takes us right there. No big deal. It would have been a little quicker to take an Uber, but not worth adding stress. We don't want to add stress. We get there. It's 2 hours before they get in to see us. It's sort of like it's a low priority all the way around. We've got her at the hospital. That's the important thing. What the part I found funny was that when we finally got in the room, guy comes in and is like, "We're going to do an ultrasound." And so he's doing things, and then he's like, "Oh, let me take a look at your gallbladder here." And he goes there, and then he doesn't always talk about when he's going back to the gallbladder because he kind of goes around and does different things. And I keep watching it, and I'm like, I think that's the gallbladder again. At one point, he mentioned like the gallbladder again, and I just bring up like we start talking about like, does he make diagnoses because he's the tech and he sees this stuff all the time? Is he able to diagnose? Like, I'm able to. Do you read this and understand? And he's like, well, yeah, I have to give recommendations to the doctor based on what I see. I can't give a diagnosis. And he's just like, yeah. So like the third time he's like going back to the gallbladder, I'm just thinking to myself, like, this kid knows it's the gallbladder because we're spending a lot of time here. We're spending a lot of time.
I cannot see the screen of the ultrasound. And he's like, roll over to your left side. I just want to get some more pictures of the gallbladder. And like, yeah, okay. And like, oh, did we figure it out? He's like, no, this is routine.
Yeah.
My friends, I bought that.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Left side. Here you go.
I didn't buy it for a second. I'm like, it's the fucking gallbladder. Real quick, pause. Rich, I hope you're still here. This didn't pop up too long ago. Ladies, it has been wonderful. But he is unfortunately going to pass out. Emily, I freaking love you. I love you too, Rich. Thank you so much for all the support and all the things that you've done for the Transverse as well. Welcome back to the Transverse. And Katie, you are awesome. He says, well, have a great night and we will see you very soon. Let's pause the story because we do have some chat over on YouTube that we should pay a little bit more attention to. Walk Faster said, I had a collapsed lung from a vehicle collision. Also lost my spleen.
I still have that.
You still have the spleen. So you still have your lungs.
Yes, I still have my lungs.
They did fail. They're not great, but you still have them. So so we're both right. Failure, but they were able to resuscitate. I was given an incentive spirometer. to exercise my lung. Did you have any lung exercise like that?
I did, yeah.
Huh.
Oh gosh. I mean, you're asking me to tap into memories that
You've blocked out
I've
in a
blocked.
big
This
way.
is from 2003, so
Mhm.
was that 21 years ago?
Mhm.
So when I say my entire life has been a fight, this is just, part of it.
Mhm. Okay. Um, they also go on to say air traffic controller. Oh my God, that's a stressful job. Um, well, we got the comment.
I do want to go onto that, but we can.
Okay. Um, I was told to drink a ton of water every day. Are you dealing with UTIs as well?
I'm not. I've never had a UTI.
Okay. They're not great. I've had one or two, I think. Um, the fun thing that I ask early on in the interview portion of the show, what were some of the breadcrumbs that should have led you to realize that you were transgender? I love that you have a lot of breadcrumbs that should have led you to the fact that you had an issue with your gallbladder. Let's before we get to that, that's a fun thing. I love that segue. I love the way I said it too. But we have to finish the first part of the story. Um, Katie kicks me out at 1:30. I'm in a very uncomfortable chair. She's lying down in bed. They've taken the ultrasound. There's really nothing to do. She wants me to come home to take care of the dog and to make sure that he gets a walk and gets a potty, and then the same thing the next morning. So I come home, leave her, pass out. She's in good hands. Show back up at 10 a.m. By noon, they have her wheeling to ER to pull out her gallbladder. That is no more. It has ceased to be. And by I'd say 7:30, we finally make it out of there. After I get her an amazing sandwich from Potbelly, y'all, if you want to sponsor, I will talk you up like crazy. Potbelly sandwiches are so good. I don't know if they're just a local. I think I've heard of them in other places, but really good chain up here. So yes, back to that question that I so eloquently put out there. What were some of the breadcrumbs that should have alerted you to gallbladder, but you took to mean different things?
I don't want to tell you because it's so stupid, especially now looking back on it. I don't want to talk about that. I will say I was getting pains in my abdomen.
I remember you
just below the sternum.
Complained a couple times of potential food poisoning. Or
I thought because there's a wonderful Indian place just down the block from here, Mint. If you want to sponsor, and I unfortunately thought that they had given me food poisoning because that night I came home and I had pain in my abdomen just below the sternum. I'd say it was 8 or 9.
Oh, that high. Wow.
Yeah, throwing up and God, I had no idea what was happening. I didn't think I was dying, but geez. And that happened to me a few times over the course of a few months, and I had no idea how to explain it or describe it, and it would last an hour to 90 minutes. And so I did not know how to go to my primary care and tell them, like, look, I'm having this problem. And my primary care had just given me a new drug about 2 weeks before the emergency room trip. And I thought that drug was giving me stomach pain. I thought that drug was giving me stomach pains. And so my doctor said, quit the drug and okay, the stomach pains will go away. Well, I had no time to learn that it wasn't because of the drug.
Because you started turning yellow.
I was passing gallstones is what it was. I was passing gallstones. And now I know what it feels like to pass a gallstone, which does me no good, but maybe I can help other people who are passing gallstones. Like, hey friend, you're passing a gallstone.
Yeah.
Um,
Inexplicable regular food poisoning type of symptoms, maybe a gallstone.
maybe a gallstone.
Especially if you start to see symptoms of an angry liver. Yeah. So make sure, and I think that's a really good lesson just in general, that we need to be better about listening to our bodies and and not disregarding things.
I will say that 45% of me that night that my doctor called me, 45% of me said, it's nothing.
Mhm.
My friends, you cannot write this. So my appendix burst when I was finishing I was in the last course, the last paper for my bachelor's degree. I was in the last course, 2 papers away from finishing my master's degree this time.
Yep.
You know what that
That's
means?
Perfect time for
Don't
organ
go.
failure.
Don't get any more degrees, Katie.
Yeah.
I do not need a doctorate.
Yeah. Well,
I'll
luckily,
probably die.
you still have your spleen, because there is still an expendable, apparently, organ.
But yeah. So yeah, noon that Thursday. So went in Wednesday night, noon on Thursday. I was getting wheeled into the OR. They took my gallbladder out, and I now keep it on my shelf.
She actually found a gallbladder stuffing. It's
No,
adorable.
I didn't. Some very close people to me did,
Mm.
and they gave it to me, and I love it. It's so ugly, but it's a
Look at the
gallbladder.
big smile, though. He's so happy.
Oh,
I
is
think
that
he's-
what that is?
I think he's just so happy to not be in there anymore. He was seriously having some struggles.
Yeah. So,
What do you say now about gallbladders?
oh, gallbladders are for losers anyway. Same with
Katie, everyone.
appendices. But now without my appendix, I have nothing to reference. I can't turn it off.
That's good. Yeah. In fair, now I'm trying to be all like holier than thou, and like, oh my God,
Get out
your
of here
bad
with your
jokes,
Nonsense.
and y'all know how bad and droll my sense of humor is. So yeah. Yeah, it was pretty unfortunate, but it's I always find the silver lining in the fact that when you get to a point where a doctor finds a diagnosis, and something that can be fixed and works to fix it, that is always a really good thing for me.
Just realized I did not finish my thought, and that could be a good segue into the next portion about neurodivergence.
Oh.
Anyway, my thought was 45% of me said no, whatever, don't go back, work on your homework, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that I listened to the 55%, especially after my experience with my appendix.
Mm-hmm.
And we took care of it. I messaged my professor, and she gave me an extension to get my papers in.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, take care of yourselves.
Well, like I said, like I took the route of like staying calm, and
I was
and all that. Yeah, well, you were very calm. You didn't think anything of it. Just staying calm and like, yeah, but let's we're just
annoyed.
we're just gonna go. But yeah, I literally ran home, and we were going to the hospital, hell or high water. I was playing it cool, but we were getting this checked on. So she was always in good hands there, and honestly, I was just very grateful for the timing of the fact that I was up here
Yes.
when this happened, and was able to take care of her, take care of the dog, and all of that.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. We bonded so much.
Oh, I made the joke that like we used to think we were best friends, and then we went through all of this shit, and it's just like, oh yeah, okay,
Oh,
now we know what best friends really
No,
are.
we upgraded. We're sisters.
We're sisters. That's right. We're sisters now. I do remember you saying that. Yeah. Let's talk a little about. I guess we're gonna go more into neurodivergence, which is fun. What were some of the things that you were thinking of that you wanted to bring up more on the neurodivergence topic?
Well, like I said, my youngest was diagnosed with autism when she was really little, and that's when I started wondering about my own self.
Mm-hmm.
My brother was diagnosed when he was young. Certain my uncle has it. it absolutely runs in my family, and that's something that I'm working with my current therapist about, um, along with some other things like anxiety
Mhm.
and relationship stuff. Uh, that's the thing I have the most difficulty with in my life is relationships.
Mhm.
Um, but as far as neurodivergence, somebody else fairly recently suggested I may also have ADHD. And they just said it so nonchalantly, like, yeah, because you have ADHD. And like, no, what?
She's not talking about me, by the way. This is someone
No,
else.
somebody else. And that kind of blew my mind. Like, oh, okay, maybe that's worth exploring. And then the same person brought it up after my last therapy session. Like, did you ask about ADHD? Like, no, we're getting to that. You keep bringing this up, though. Like, yeah, and there may be something there because you came home earlier today. I was cleaning the hallway. I was cleaning dog fur out of the hallway. And I said, it might not look like it, but I'm rearranging the bookshelf.
Which is something I completely identify with. The yeah, like the honey, why are you in the garage? It's like, oh, I'm cleaning the kitchen. Hold on. I'm just like, oh yeah, that's ADHD. Like, oh, this to this to this to this to this to this to this.
Well, I don't know, because I had a clear path. And I did get back to the bookshelf. It's rearranged.
Mm-hmm.
We
More
moved the
stuff there.
plushies from we moved the plushies
Probably.
from this side of the shelf to that side of the shelf for everybody's viewing enjoyment.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you would have had to stare at my 3D printer, which is nowhere near as colorful or exciting.
Uh-huh. And you have the ubiquitous trans slash nerd item over your left shoulder, which is the Everyone is Awesome Lego piece, which is
yeah.
the entire rainbow and Lego characters. Very fun. Yeah, so we've one of the things we've enjoyed, and I've been trying to write them down recently, so we make sure we remember them, is our Seattle memes. And you know, Katie's, we just got an upgrade on one where it used to be, I haven't been diagnosed, but come on. We come out of the train station one time, and we usually go down this one way, or we can cross the street because technically our apartment is sort of diagonal. So I'm like, what, let's cross the street here. And she's like, well, no, because I usually go this way. And she, and she like hears it. She's like, I haven't been diagnosed, but come on. Like, we can't cross the street because that's not how she usually does it.
No. See, I always cross here, and then I cross diagonally. I hear it now. I hear it.
I hear it. And then I made a comment about some of her Sonic toys, and I was just, a one-off comment of like, I can't imagine being the brand manager for the Sonic stuff, or for like a big brand like that, and seeing like all the toys come out and all these color variations, because the ground that Sonic stands on, the brown checkerboard pattern is always different colors. And I'm like, that just would drive me nuts. And she looks at me with a straight face and she says,
I'm sorry you can't enjoy things.
Which is sort of our meme about my neurospiciness. I have this ability, or like detrimental thing about myself.
On top of it, you're a graphic designer.
I'm a graphic designer.
So you're looking at these things.
I do look at these things, but I do say that I notice everything.
Yeah.
And
which makes you a great graphic designer, and I want to use that to segue into air traffic control. But go ahead.
Okay. And so yeah, that's been a fun one, and that comes up a lot. And so I'm constantly trying to look for ways of things that I notice that I appreciate, so I can point them out to her and say, see, I can enjoy things.
Yeah. Yes, there are things that you can enjoy, particularly the Kraken anchor logo.
Oh God, I just noticed that the other day. So the Seattle Kraken, the hockey team I was watching, one of their main logos is an anchor.
I interrupted.
And I just noticed the other day that the stem and it wouldn't be a stem, whatever that part of the anchor is, and the top are designed to represent the Seattle Space Needle. And once you realize that, this simple anchor logo that was a sort of a throwaway whatever. It's tied into the Kraken thing, you know, whatever the water. But once I noticed that, I was just like, oh, that is great. So yes, I can enjoy things.
Being a sailor, real quick, being a sailor, I can tell you the stem is called a shaft. It's the anchor shaft.
So you said that ties very well into air traffic control.
The question before was, I don't know if it was question or statement. Like
a statement.
Yeah,
how
air
difficult
traffic
it is.
control.
Stressful.
Stressful. And for me, not really. It was it's like another game for me. And just like a logic puzzle. One of the things I appreciate about it is they're very set black and white rules. To do this, you have to do this. And if you consider a departure procedure or an approach procedure in and out of an airport as like a macro, you tell a pilot how to enter the procedure, and then the rest of it is just charted out, and then they just follow it from there. If you tell them how to enter the procedure and they do the rest on their own, it's like a macro. And so you're programming these planes and these pilots on what to do. And I think that's why it came so easily for me, is because it's all black and white and there are specific rules. And not only was I say was past tense because I'm still an air traffic controller. I teach now, but I can't maintain the medical requirement for it anymore. Because FAA is archaic with their medical requirements. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But so I don't operate anymore. I just instruct now. And I was very good at it. And not just operationally, but I knew the book. I knew the books. I wrote the book. There's a Navy technical manual for air traffic control with my name in it because I co-authored it. And so that was something that just came so easily for me, and I attribute that to my neurospiciness.
It can be a superpower, y'all. It can make it hard for us to enjoy things, but it can also be a very, very good thing once you learn how to use it and embrace it.
Once you harness it.
Harness it. Yeah, harness the power. All right, y'all. I see the chat has kind of slowed down. I really appreciate the all of the comments, all of the questions and things that y'all sent in. Where are we at for time? I don't even know.
It's a little after 8. It's about 8:15.
8:15. That's still not that long. We're just a little over the 2-hour mark for the usual show. If y'all have any other questions, go ahead and get them in quickly. Otherwise, we'll wrap up. This is, as I said, we're in my final hours here. I leave this state at a little before 10 a.m. tomorrow. So I got a lot of packing to do. Half of the stuff that you're seeing this show on right now, actually much more than half, 90% needs to get packed in bags that I was packing all day, and they're already full. So this is going to be super fun. One of the parts of that is a 27-inch monitor that we've been watching, reading chat on, and the questions. That has to get packaged and hopefully not beaten to absolute hell on the train. So wish me luck with that. I don't see any other comments coming in or any questions. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add before we end your first interview? Now, I do say the first interview because, as we talked about, you have your taco day coming up in August, and you're hoping for end of this year for FFS and breast augmentation. So, probably, expect about the same time next year, we'll be getting together with a whole different Katie. It'll be just a brand new Katie.
Same Katie. Same Katie doesn't change.
Katie does not change.
Her outward appearance will. More congruent.
More congruent, Katie. Well, thank you. I can't quite read your name from here, and it's gray. Let me get my old lady butt over there and see if I can. I don't know how to pronounce it. Miath. Miath? Miath? I like Miath. Miath's Reading Corner. Thank you so much. Wishes us to be well. Thank you. Great.
I'll do my best.
Yes.
I still have my spleen for now.
For now. For now. I hope y'all have enjoyed the wonderful scene here with the city in the backdrop.
I know
we
I
had to
do.
completely rearrange her entire living room, so that'll be part of the process of putting things back. We've got these great lights that we got from Best Buy that don't quite work right. They were good enough for today, but she's got to take those back. So we have a lot to do in the last couple hours of tonight. I love you all. Thank you so much for your patience as we're trying to get more Transgender Show episodes lined up. I cannot guarantee we will have one next week, but I do have, I think, 5 or 6 people that are waiting to get their slot on the Transgender Show. So if it's not next week, very soon we will get back into a regular programming of this. So big boobs make you a different person,
Thank you,
says Amanda. Yes, please continue to patience with me. I'm working through a little bit of executive dysfunction and some other things, and of course, a hell of a lot of distraction here in Seattle. I will not have an excuse after the next few days. I'm taking the train back home, so it will be a couple days of travel, but once I get there, then it'll be back to work
Because California's boring.
Wow. Where I live is very suburban, and I will not have access to all of the wonderful things that are right here. I will not be able to just go like, I feel like going to a sports game, StubHub, and then 10 minutes later be at the stadium.
You walked there.
I actually, for that one, I ran to the stadium. Then I came out of the stadium and I'm like, why are people lining up for this stadium? Oh, there's a soccer game going. StubHub, thank you. And yes, we are looking for a sponsorship from StubHub as well. So give me a call.
My point is that you did not have to sit in traffic.
No traffic. I didn't even have to take a bus. It's just right there. It's right there. Right there. It's great. I'll miss that definitely. But yeah, the one thing that I will make an announcement about is November 20th is Transgender Day of Remembrance, and I will be hosting a Trans Day of Remembrance event again in Ventura. We have not been successful streaming it the last couple years, so we are going to do it. It probably will not be on the Transverse, but on the Transverse, I will announce where you can find that, either if it's through Zoom or Facebook. One of those two is most likely where it'll be, but November 20th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific, sorry, 3 hours, and that will be a really fun event. Bad word. It'll be a really good event. We have some really great speakers lined up. We will be reading the names of the folks that we lost this year and some other great things. So stay tuned for that. I love doing a Thanksgiving Day stream because I know a lot of people in our community have lost connection to family and sort of don't have anywhere to be on the big holidays. So depending on how things go, I will either do a Thanksgiving Eve or a Thanksgiving Day stream. I say depending because I am hoping to do a Friendsgiving event of my own. So we'll see, but I love to do something like that. So just stay tuned for some good things happening at the end of November. That episode for Kari Aiden's edit of the Transgender Show will be coming out very soon. So just get back into the habit of checking the Transverse Instagram. That's the best place regularly. The Transverse Network on Instagram. And yeah, again, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for your patience. Say goodnight, Katie.
Good night, Katie.